It's a huge opportunity for all of us to triple what we're doing right now.
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview the top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Lead Agent Secrets.
With that said, I know for all our listeners, and I didn't want to open up about this on the introduction to your show here, your third and final one is your secret that's going to, with doubling and tripling your business. Now, everyone's ears is just perked up. Unpack that secret to success, how you're going to double and triple, how you have doubled and tripled your business up to date.
Number one, you have to build systems. I have a ops handbook that I have written. In 2018, I blew up my business and said, I'm going to take this from contact to close to post-close for everything. How I do my open houses. If I ever got sick, if anything ever happened to me that I couldn't do my business, I could hand this book to somebody else and they could run my business for me. So my eventual, your goal, I'm 44 years old. And I have a 20-year-old and I have a 15-year-old. And I don't think I'll ever not work, but I do want to leverage more things. I just actually brought on last week a second buyer's agent. And yes, and we are interviewing an ISA. So building those systems and then following them. You have to create a customer service experience. You have to create that experience for people. There's so many times, and everybody's timelines and timeframes in real estate are different. And when you're in contract with someone and there's nothing going on, these are buyers. So if you're not saying, okay, this is what we do next, this is what we do next, this is next, this is next, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? If you're not constantly feeding them, they have no idea what's going on, especially if they're a first-time home buyer. Or maybe they haven't sold a home in 15 or 20 years. They're anxious. And if you're not in communication with them often, they're going to feel like you abandoned them. And they're going to go to the closing table and say, she didn't do anything wrong, but I don't really feel like she did anything different than anybody else was going to do. So why would I use her again? So I have a very systematic plan from contract, contacts in between. I send out a congratulations email, whether they're the seller or the buyer, that bullet points everything with PDFs to follow. The second week, my transaction coordinator says we have attorney approval. As soon as I see that email come out, I said, okay, this is what that means. So I stay on top of everything, even though my transaction coordinator follows the dates. When I see those come through on my email, that's my code too. And it's literally a copy and paste. It's in a Word doc that I just copy and paste. I change whatever dates or items that need to be changed. It takes me 5 seconds. So if I have 20 transactions going on right now, it may take me 20 minutes to do an update on a Monday on all of my transactions, and everyone's communicated with.
That's a whole nother level of systemization and processes in place that I don't think we've ever covered on the show.
It's funny you say that this is so important to you. There's something you said at the very beginning that I think a lot of people won't appreciate, that I massively appreciate. Real business people who listen to this will appreciate the fact that you opened up with, I could not turn up or walk away from my business, give this to someone and they could run it. Like, the power in that statement is crazy. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, that's what a difference is between someone that's a realtor and like a business owner. Like, that is the delineation right there, which is, could you walk away? And I'm not saying you have to start a business and you walk away 3 weeks later. Like, it takes years to build this shit. But like, the delineation is genuinely that. Can you walk away now from your business and not show up, and your business will function and grow irrespective if you're there? If you are now there, you are now an executive of a company. You are like a part of it, but you are not necessary anymore. You could walk away. Shauna sells it, and Shauna sells 300 homes, and Shauna's not a part of this deal anymore. And she's now got a brand and a business and potentially a sellable asset, right? Which is now you're talking about exit strategies, which like is a whole other world that me and Peter love. Like, we like exiting. I've exited one business. Like, I've done this stuff. It's very exciting. But I tell you what, that delineation you made there, where it's like, I could walk away and give this to someone, they could run it, took me years to get to that point where I'm like, I now do not have to turn up and someone else could run this and it would grow. Like, and that's no easy feat. Like, it really isn't. It's really, really difficult. I think one of the things that everyone listening has struggled with, you might even be in the same boat, or you might have figured this out too. Maybe that's for another time. It's the recruiting side of things. People have either problem finding the right people, or I think a bigger one rather than finding the right people. I think, and I'd love your opinion on this, I think a lot of people have subpar onboarding, which is why people fail.
Absolutely. And I failed my first time with my first hire. And my brokerage offers something called career visioning. It's a 30, 60, 90, 30 days on the job. This is what's expected of you, 60 days, 90 days, right? It's a 30, 60, 90. At the end of 90 days, you're really going to know. But before you want to hire somebody, you want to bring them through career visioning, which is, and you listen, this is another piece that people are in pain, so they gravitate towards somebody's energy that feels great, and you're like, yes, I love you, I'm going to hire you. Get to it. I don't want to do it anymore, and you just failed. You just failed because I did that too, and I failed miserably. And I'm okay with failing, because failing just means I need to fail 100 times before I'm going to be successful. So I just want to get through as many failures as I possibly can to get to my one success, because it'll be worth it. I'm just going to keep standing up and just keep going through. So bringing them through career visioning. And what that is Andrew, I'm going to ask you, okay, tell me a little bit about you, I'm going to ask you, tell me a little bit about your childhood. I'm going to listen for trigger words. Tell me a little bit about, did you go to college? What did you do? Are you a grinder? How do you deal? How was your boss? How was your family life? You bring them through, right? And you're going to know if somebody is a victim and sits in victim mode, or somebody who works hard enough but doesn't like that, right? And then you're going to find somebody that says, no matter what, no pressure, no diamonds. I'm going to grind through this, and I'm going to get to the end result one way or another. So it's understanding the person that you need in that role and bringing them through that career visioning and asking those questions. They may not understand what you're asking them, and it gets really emotional. I mean, when I did my career visioning with my brokers before I took the role on top of as our productivity coaching agents to build their, I do one-on-one coaching. So I bring them everything that I've done, and I hand to them, and I say, okay, let's build this together. So in order for me to have that very important role in our brokerage, Mark and Carrie had to bring me through the career visioning. And I think I cried for like 2 hours, you know what I mean, as they brought me through it. But it really made me realize that any adversity that was in front of me, I'm going to overcome. I never thought in a million years I'd make $100,000. Never did. I never thought in a million years I'd make $250,000. I never thought in a million years I'd make $350,000. So when it's the box we put ourselves in, and understanding that I also was in a box, and understanding those questions and how they brought me out to the realization that I am worthy and I am capable. So when you bring people through, you learn, do they just want to show up for a job, or do they want to grow with you? And if you want to grow with me, there's huge potential for growth. And that's really what it comes down to.
I think to piggyback on one of the things you said, or a couple actually, is when you're hiring, a lot of the time you actually, and this is a bit of a generalization, but a lot of the time you're hiring because you'll hire your weaknesses out first. And then the hardest bit, which most people don't think about, is hiring out your strengths, is way harder, because you don't want to let go because you're good at it. And you hate seeing people do bad shit when you're like, I could have done that and not lost that money. But that's a part of the growth process. But when you're actually hiring, usually you're hiring the opposite, because you hire out your weaknesses first. So, for example, I always think, every time I think about this, I think about Peter and his TC. Like, we're not lovers of paperwork, right? Peter found this TC, and he was like, dude, like, Peter's married. For context, he's like, I'd marry this. She just loves paperwork, man. She's in there and she's great at it and she loves it. And he's like, I can't believe it. She's like, this is so exciting for me. And it's like, she's polar opposite of Peter. Nothing like him. Of course she's not, because he likes going out and crushing out deals and selling, and she likes sitting behind a desk doing paperwork.
Got it.
It's just the nature of the beast, you know? So it's like, when you are hiring, you've got to just be very, like, you know, you just got to retract yourself, you know, detach yourself from them. And I've done the same mistake. I've hired someone, I've gone, oh my God, they're just like me. This is going to be amazing. We're going to get on like house fire. And then you realize that they hate the shit too, because they're just like you. You're like,
Exactly.
oh, we fucked up here.
So I got to hire somebody like me to be an agent, not to push, not to do my database management for me. You know what I mean? So yeah. And that's the hardest part is, you know, you're 100% correct. Hire my weakness. What I did first was a transaction coordinator. And then I hired a full-time admin. So, which was hard for me because I really thought that I did my database better than anybody else could have.
But it's how you got to build leverage and scale. That's it. You got to let go. I know it's the hardest thing. When I learn to get, because I can't, like I said, I'm a data guy. I'm an analytics guy. Like, that's just the way I function. I work off numbers. I don't work off emotion. And so when I started hiring in people to take my position, that was a big leap. Because like I'm training them and I'm like, God, I've done this stuff for nigh on a decade now. Like I just know this inside out. Like, and you expect them to know it without you telling them. And that's just you in your own head realizing that actually like these guys haven't done it for as long. They haven't got the same experience. Like the whole point is when you're trying to elevate yourself within a company, it's passing on. It's the passing on of that knowledge so they can get 10 years of experience in a year. Like that's what, you know, the passing of the torch is in business. That's how you go from being an agent to being an executive. That's how you build the docs, the systems to move out. It's how you make an exitable company. It's how you can, in a cliche world, sit on a beach in the Bahamas and still make money because you've put that in place. And listen, there's a lot of growth pains. That's why when people hire, they tend to make less money, right? Because there's a growth curve there, which is totally okay. We were literally speaking with a top producer, X percentile in the whole US. And he did 350 deals last year, you know, big producer. And he was just like, I've made less money this year, but he's just tried hiring like 6 or 7 people because, you know, in the next couple of years, he wants to not sell a home. Right. And he's like, so I've got to go through this pain. And he's like,
you got to go through the pain, but you just bought your time back. Right.
Correct.
So short story, my son was on the New York State national wrestling team since he was in 8th grade. So he was a phenomenal wrestler. I didn't miss anything. And I spent 10 days in Fargo, North Dakota at nationals every single summer. I missed not a thing because when I left, I made sure, I always knew what my schedule was going to be. I made sure that I grabbed somebody in this office and sat with them and set my expectations to make sure if they were taking care of my clients while I was gone, I was still accessible, but they were me, just in a different body. Here back in New York while I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. So it's really about when you set expectations with people and you have to have that accountability. If that accountability isn't there, if you're not doing a 30, 60, 90 with the people that you're hiring, the people that you're using, they're just going to show up for a paycheck, really at the end of the day. And there is, I am in dialect right now with a very successful team here that we may be partnering. And it's a huge opportunity for all of us to triple what we're doing right now.
Hell yeah. That sounds like a plan.
It's a strategic partnership,
very strategic.
Right? Form an alliance and take over and not compete, but dominate your local market.
Yeah. Love it. Shana, what I want to do now, it's been an amazing show. I want to give you the floor. So if people either want to join your team, refer a business to you, buy or sell a home, how could they get in touch, whether it's phone, email, website, socials? Sure. How can they reach out to you?
So you can find me at shanasoldit.com is my website. shanasoldit@gmail.com. Shana sells the Capital District on Instagram and Shana Sold It. I have 2. I have my personal page, which is Shana sells the Capital District. And then my business page is Shana Sold It. Facebook, I'm Shana Edwards on Facebook. And I am Shana Edwards, licensed real estate salesperson. You can also look up Shana Sold It on Facebook and find my business page.
Love it. Now, We have a very final segment, quick fire, off the cuff. First question, what's your favorite book or person to learn from at the moment?
You're a Badass by Jen Sorensen.
Love it. What is your goal for either this year or the next 12 months?
102 transactions.
And the final one, what is the biggest obstacle you think that's going to stop you hitting that?
My limiting beliefs.
Love it. Shana, this has been amazing. Everyone listening, we hope you've enjoyed this show, and we will see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs 100% for free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.